Yo, what's up, guys? We're back with another video today, and guys, in today's video, guys, we're gonna be talking about dominant UFC fighters. Now, what do I mean by this, right? I'm talking about fighters that are just so dominant in how they fight and how they perform against opponents that there's nothing anyone can do to stop them, right? I have included 6 UFC fighters here who I think are the most dominant forces in the UFC currently. Now, I do want to say, what are my rule sets when it comes to talking about a dominant fighter? Well, my 3 major rules are you have to be finishing them very quickly, you have to be dominating the fighter throughout the majority of the fight, you have to have a style that is so difficult for someone to deal with that it makes you a dominant fighter. Like when you're fighting someone and your style is so difficult to deal with, that makes you a dominant fighter. Like, say, Marab, Pantoja, like guys like that, like, you know what I'm saying, right? Those are my rule sets for when it comes to a dominant fighter and how I'm gonna be referring to them in this video. And I have 6 UFC fighters, again, 6 UFC fighters who I think are the most dominant fighters currently. So without further ado, let's get right into it. All right, now the first person we have here is Merab Dvalishvili. Now, what makes Merab so unique compared to these other guys isn't the fact that he's so dominant with his wrestling, his striking, his chin, his jiu-jitsu, none of that stuff. What makes him so dominant is his output is unbelievable. You can be a better striker, you can be a better wrestler than him, but you just can't compete with this man's output. It's just impossible. I know it sounds like I'm glazing him since I literally made a video about this. Go check it out if you want to. But the point stands, like, I'm just saying the facts. Merab's output is too much for any of these fighters to deal with. Like, that's just the fact. I won't go too in depth with Merab because I've already spoken about Merab already, but the point still stands. Merab is just so dominant, not because of his striking, not because of his grappling, not because of his wrestling, because of this man's output. His cardio is unbelievable. All right, the next person we have here is Alexandre Pantoja. Alexandre Pantoja is quite a unique one on here because sometimes he is dominant, but sometimes he's not, right? So it's a little bit difficult for me to put him on this one, but I feel like in his last 2 fights, he's shown that, yeah, this guy's gonna be dominant, right? Because, listen, Pantoja is a quite interesting guy. Like, he'll get into scraps with fighters, but for the most part, he'll usually come out on top, right? The only time he went to a real dog fight with someone was against Brendan Moreno, which that was a close fight. You could have argued that went to Brendan Moreno. But aside from that, Brendan Royval, dog fight, but Pantoja was getting the better of him. Kaya Sakura took him down within the first round, and then in the second, submitted him pretty easily. Kai Kara-France dominated him, probably the best performance he's ever had in his whole career, honestly. Like, Kai Kara-France, very good striker, very good fighter, and Pantoja goes out there and submits him and dominates him throughout the entirety of the fight. Like, Kai Kara-France had no answer for Pantoja. Couldn't even he knew that Pantoja's gonna take him down. He just couldn't do anything. There was nothing you could do to stop Pantoja, with his takedowns. It's just so strange. And I think what makes him so dominant is his great chin and his grappling, right? And I also feel like Pantoja is kind of similar to Merab in a sense because he will have a type of pressure that's too much for a fighter to deal with, but at the same time, not too much. It's weird because Pantoja gassed out in his fight against Kai Kara-France and Kaya Sakura, in my opinion. Looked very slow, but he just marched forward and he just pushed the pace. And even though he was super slow, the guys couldn't really do much to deal with it because were already exhausted by that point as well. Because grappling and wrestling is very exhausting. It really is. All right, the next person we have here is Tom Aspinall. I mean, I think this one was a safe one to put on here because, listen, Tom Aspinall, there's nobody who can deal with Tom Aspinall. He's way too quick and he's got KO threat. That is a recipe of disaster for any fighter who has to fight Tom Aspinall. Nobody's been able to deal with Tom Aspinall. The only guy who could have potentially dealt with him was John Jones. That was it. Nobody else could have dealt with him. And it's a shame because we're never going to get that fight. We're never going to get that fight. Unless John comes back and he's like, all right, I'm going to fight one person in the rankings. Then I'll fight for the title. Then all right. But you know what Tom Aspinall should do? If John Jones is like, hey, I want to come back and I want to fight Tom should be like, hell no, you gotta fight someone in the rankings. Go fight a Curtis Blades. Go fight a Volkov. Then come back and talk with me, and then we'll see what's up. That's what he should do, honestly. Tom Aspinall was wasted out of his prime career, mind you, for about a year and a half straight of just not fighting. He wanted to fight John, and the UFC wanted to. Didn't happen. John was a duck. It's unbelievable. I won't get too much into it. This is about Tom Aspinall. Tom Aspinall is genuinely like he is like, I honestly don't know who can deal with him. The only other person I think right now is Gon, but Gon does not have a chance. Like John, I feel has a 50-50 in my opinion, because it's John. He is one of the best fighters of all time. I hate to admit, but it's true. Gon is like 10% chance. Just 10. Not even that, like 5, because like the only thing Gon has going for him is his striking. He's got good striking, I would say. He's actually, I would argue, this might be a hot take. I think Gon is a better technical striker than Tom Aspinall, but Tom Aspinall will school Zero Gon on the feet because, for one, he is too quick and he has knockout power. That is the difference between these two, right? Because Tom is not, listen, Tom's a good striker, but I wouldn't say he's a world-class striker. I mean, he's not in my top 10 great strikers of all time. I might make a remake of that video if you guys want me to, but he's not a top 10 level striker. Gon, I think, is a top 15 in my opinion. He is quite technical and crisp with his striking. I like his striking, but Tom will get better with him on the feet because he's too quick. He's just too quick and he's got KO threat. All right, next up, we have actually a female fighter on here, Zhang Weili. I had to put Zhang Weili on here. When I thought about like dominant fighters, Zhang Weili was actually one of the few that I thought of because this lady is honestly unbelievable. Like, she can, like, no fighter can deal with Zhang Weili. Like, her wrestling, she's so strong. Like, I don't know what makes her so good. She's got like something about her that just makes her so good. I would say it's her wrestling, definitely, and the fact she's very physically stronger than all these females in this division. Nobody is stronger than Zhang Weili. That is just a fact. And when you have a wrestling background on there, I mean, yeah, that's a recipe for disaster. I mean, she is really good. I was thinking, okay, maybe Tatiana Suarez could potentially be Zhang Weili. Nope, Zhang Weili goes out there, schools her. In fairness, the first round was quite competitive, but Zhang Weili is like, nobody can really deal with Zhang Weili. I think that her best performance, in my opinion, was honestly the Amanda Lemos. Like, that one was genuinely such a crazy one. In fairness, Amanda Lemos almost finished her in the first round, which was kind of crazy, but Zhang Weili locked in and she dominated her in the last 4 rounds. It was one of the most dominant performances from a champion I've seen in a while. And to say when she locked in and became so good, I would say it was probably after the second loss to Rose Namajunas. That's aged so well. Like, those 2 wins that Rose has against her have aged so well, because now look at how Zhang Weili is compared to when she fought Rose. It is complete night and day different. Alright, the next person we have here might be a hot take, might be a controversial one. Joshua Van, man. People forget, man. Joshua Van is one of the greatest fighters of all time. He's going to be Pantoja, which is weird because I have 2 guys in the same division who I think are dominant fighters. The reason why I have Joshua Van on here is when Joshua Van fights, he gets into scraps. He gets into scraps a lot. I mean, look at the Brandon Royval, Bruno Silva, Cody Durden. Like, these are quite competitive fights, but you can tell that Van's getting the better of them all the time. Like, when in the first round, Van got the better of Royval. Second round, Royval got the better of Van. But when we got into that third round, we knew, like, I could tell that, like, Van was getting the better of him. He just was. Royval was actually starting to get a bit tired and fatigued, I felt, towards the end of the round from Van, which is quite crazy because Royval, he's got great output. He's got great cardio. And for him to get outpaced by Joshua Van, a new guy who just came into the scene, that's quite crazy to me. I think what makes him so dominant when he fights is his boxing. He's got some of the best boxing right now. And his cardio. He's got great cardio. I would argue he has the best cardio in his division currently. And I think that's going to play a big factor to when he fights Pantoja. Because Pantoja, I said before, Pantoja is not the best cardio fighter. He does not have that great cardio. He gassed out against Kai Kara France in like the 3rd round. Come on now. Joshua Van, he threw like what? Almost 400 attempted strikes against Brandon Royval in a 3-rounder. 3-rounder. And Pantoja was getting gassed out in the 3rd round. Like, to me, I think Van beats Pantoja. I think so. I think it will be a competitive fight, but I think towards the later end of the rounds, I think Van will get the better of him, and I think he'll start to school Pantoja. All right, now the final person we have here, I had to put him on here, Khamzat Chimaev. You knew he was going to be on here. Khamzat Chimaev, what can I say that can't be said about Khamzat Chimaev already? Dude is unbelievably a dominant fighter. His wrestling, in my opinion, I would say he has the best wrestling in the UFC right now because he takes someone down and it's over. The only person who actually was able to survive Khamzat's wrestling was, I would say, Gilbert Burns. Listen, Usman was able to survive the wrestling when he got taken down. But Gilbert was able to stop Khamzat Chimaev from wrestling with him. He made it into a striking fight in that fight. Like, that's crazy. Usman was able to survive the wrestling. He's a smart fighter. Whitaker couldn't do anything. Kevin Holland couldn't do anything. In fairness, Kevin Holland did try to do some scrambles, but Khamzat Chimaev was just on him the entire time. There was just nothing he could do to stop Khamzat Chimaev. Listen, I'll just say this about Khamzat versus DDP. If Khamzat can't get DDP out in the first round, and even the second, it's going to be a bad night for Khamzat Chimaev. That's the truth. But can Khamzat finish him? We have to see. Like, DDP is a large fighter. Like, the dude walks around like 230, he said in a video, or on a news broadcast, he said, and he's a big fighter. He is strong, DDP is. So I don't know. If Khamzat was struggling to take down Gilbert Burns, mind you, it was welterweight, so he was cutting a lot of weight, but still, Khamzat was strong at that division. What is DDP going to be like when Khamzat tries to take him down? Like, this is something I really want to know. But guys, that is me giving my thoughts on the most dominant fighters in the UFC currently. Let me know what you guys thought about this video. Do you think that these guys were dominant? Do you agree with them? Leave a like, subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Peace!